Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know I bought a house in Austin Heights in Johor Bahru in preparation for a weekend house and a holiday house. I've never seriously considered it to be a retirement house until recently. The developments in the CPF, special account closure, and enhanced ERS, and plus the inflationary situation in Singapore has gotten far worse, that I really consider right now I need to develop a serious retirement plan in Malaysia. And I would like to show you today my financial plans for retirement in JB. And you could make some sense of this too. This is an outline of my financial plans and a retirement program that I've developed for myself for a Johor Bahru retirement. And inside there details quite a lot of things. Read till to the end and you will understand where I'm coming from. And I think it will add some options for you for your own retirement. Now, how they come about this is inspired by a discussion I have with a friend in UK. In that discussion, he actually lamented that he worked so many years in London and accumulated a lot of savings in a hope that one day he can retire well in Singapore. What he didn't foresee is Singapore is now so expensive and the pound has depreciated so much versus the Sing dollar. So he now looked for other options and asked me a lot about Johor. So as I developed and my line of thinking, I said, hey, I should actually think through all this very carefully for myself. So I actually map out all these financial plans. So let's look at it, shall we? I do not need to convince you that Singapore is one of the most expensive cities to live in. You experience it on a daily basis. And while there are many reports that say that Singapore is the most expensive city in the world, many of our politicians actually refuted that. I don't necessarily think that it is the most expensive, but definitely one of the most expensive. I've traveled around the world widely, apart from Switzerland and Israel, and to some extent, London. Actually, it's very difficult to find another place that's more expensive than Singapore. Singapore really is one of the most expensive cities in the world. And unfortunately, for many of us, we work very hard throughout our whole working life in hope that we will have a wonderful, comfortable retirement. Unfortunately, this comfortable retirement right now may come at risk, and we may now also experience financial hardship in terms of affordability in our retirement. So I mapped this plan out for myself to have a comfortable retirement. One interesting development that make it possible is the enhanced retirement sum from CPF board that now increases the ERS to 4 times the BRS number. Regardless of what does that mean, it simply means that if you fill up your ERS to full by parking your SA, your OA, whatever, even throwing cash to the max, about $400 over $1,000. And if you retire at 70 years old, every month you can draw out about $4,600. That's for myself, and my wife will also draw out another $4,600. Combined, we will have almost $9,000 over dollars. Now, that, frankly speaking, $4,600 in Singapore terms in 20 years' time is at best an okay living, but it's not good living. Most of us would agree with that. So I look at other ways to bring down the cost of living for myself. And frankly speaking, it's all about frugality, frugality, frugality. And I spend my whole young life, living frugally so that my retirement time can live frugally. What nonsense logic is that, right? So I actually think that we should all work hard when we are young so that we have very comfortable and luxury living. And this is how we can make it happen in a retirement in Malaysia. Assuming that my wife and I would have a CPF Life payment of $4,600 each from CPF Life when we're 70 years old, that's where we think we'll retire. That's a whooping 4,600 times 2% times 3.5 exchange rate. That's an incredible eye-popping $32,000 a month in Malaysia. Now, it's very easy to spend 4,600 times 2% in Singapore, but to spend $32,000 a month in JB, it's a different story altogether. This is what I call a very fat budget for retirement every month. And this does not include all the other savings, financial savings that I might have from my stocks, from my cash or whatever. Just looking at just CPF Life And this is also possible for you. Many of you said, why consider a JB retirements, Mr. Lu, right? JB has terrible traffic jams. We go in the causeway. JB has so many thieves and robbers. JB is so unsafe and blah, blah, blah. Well, frankly speaking, I've gone there so many times and now I live there frequently. Frankly speaking, JB really have space. Okay, space, lots of space, right? Whether be it be your home, whether be it be a shopping center, be it be car parks, be it be outdoor hiking, whatever, lots of space. And the freedom of space is not so claustrophobic for me, and I love that. Now, JB Retirement offers me luxury. Now, luxury doesn't mean I can buy a BMW or Rolls Royce or Lamborghini or whatever, but luxury not to think about, financial constraint when I need to spend money. And JB has a lot of comfort, right? Lots of comfortable food, very affordable things and things like that. And most importantly, JB has a kampong spirit, which I will develop this line of thoughts for you later. Let's talk about affordability now. You said, Mr. Lu, of course, you can go there easily. You have bought a house already. Well, let's take a look at it, shall we? The average rental of a condo. Now, many of you may not like a landed house, and surprise to you, a landed house rental may even be cheaper than a condo. But let's talk about condo, shall we? Because most of us are used to condo. If you talk about a full facility condo, in Austin Heights, you would look at it, right? 1,000, 8,000, 8,000, 8,008 for roughly about 1,000 square feet house, right? So 3-bedroom, very enough for 2-person, right? Husband and wife. Now, if you are willing to try other places like Mid Valley, which even closer to Causeway, it gets more expensive, but it's bigger, right? So I look at this, the 3,000 for 1,500 square feet, 2,000 ringgit for 1,600, and so on, right? So these are very affordable rentals for anybody to stay in. I actually don't encourage anybody who haven't made up their mind, for a long-term stay in Malaysia to buy a Malaysian house, right? Renting is absolutely a wonderful option. And you have got full facilities, security, and comfort. What is there to think of? These in Sing dollar terms is less than $800, $700 a month, which you cannot even use it to rent a room in Singapore. So really, it stretch your dollar to the max and give you breadth and luxury, right? Another thing that is very important is that cars in Singapore are, frankly speaking, reaching a stage where it is really unaffordable, right? It's ridiculously unaffordable. I own a Honda Visa in Singapore. It costs about $150,000 right now for an entry-level Honda Visa. It's not even a BMW or Mercedes. And if you buy a hybrid version, it will cost a whooping 180,000, slap my own face, right? That kind of price. These are actually parallel imports, it's if you buy from Tanjong Motors and I don't know what else, it gets a lot more expensive. In Malaysia, this, a Honda Visa costs about 90,000 ringgit. Okay, ringgit, brand new, okay? And if you get a hybrid version, you pay about 120,000 ringgit. Get your mind straight, ringgit. It really is a lot more affordable, and the comfort of a car, it can actually stretch more. For me, I think a Honda Visa is good enough for me, but for some of you guys, you may want to experience for the first time, driving a Mercedes or a BMW or whatever, right? It's a lot more affordable there. And the cost of living as a comparison between Singapore and Johor Bahru, it's a heaven and earth situation. Now, the Malaysian news have made some analysis. It's about 70% cheaper if you live in JB. Well, that's a whooping difference, right? I don't seriously think that is 70%, but even 50% is a humongous number. One main reason why I want to go and retire in JB is this damn reason. I want to feast until I die. Okay, the amazing Johor Bahru food is out of the world. Every Singaporean will agree with that. And I literally could go and eat one restaurant a day and change and not come back to the same restaurant for the rest of my life when I retire. And I still haven't finished all the JB restaurant. Okay, and restaurant dinners in JB are really a lot more affordable. And I did some comparison. Me and my wife, you go out and eat restaurant dinners every night. if we spend a budget of $150, so 150 ringgit, and times 30 days, that means every day we do that, which I don't think we will, but 30 days do that, it's a cost of 4,500 ringgit. Remember, we have $32,000 to spend. Taking taking $4,500 out for a restaurant dinner a night is an incredible price tag to pay for this kind of luxury. It is so affordable that my wife and I have decided we'll go food hunting almost every day for wonderful dinners for the rest of our life. It will probably kill us, but at least we die happy rather than to die in misery, right? Now, healthcare is a lot more affordable in Malaysia. Now, I've talked about this many times. Medicine are tremendously cheaper in Johor Bahru compared to the Singapore one. Basic healthcare is actually very affordable in Malaysia. I give you an example. Not only you go to outpatients, private outpatient clinics, but if you go for a treatment like colonoscopy, it costs about $2,000 to $3,000 compared to in Malaysia, which is about Sing dollar terms of $400 to $800 depending where you go. Dental treatment is a lot more cheaper. The same price you pay in Singapore could be in the hundreds. You pay the same price in ringgit terms. So healthcare is really affordable. Some of you might say, but Malaysia healthcare standard is bad. I'm not going to deny that for a level of comfort, but let's give a Singapore benefit of the quality is a lot better. But I think that for serious problem, you go back to Singapore, right? For very trivial health check or health problem, you go to Johor Bahru. I think that is a tapping the best of both worlds. One of the major concerns that most Singaporeans have is, Mr. Lu, Malaysia very dangerous, do you know or not? I know, compared to Singapore, yes, I don't deny that. But compared to where I spend most of my time in Europe, Johor Bahru is a paradise. In Europe, everywhere I go, I have to look back every 10 steps to make sure that I'm not being tailed or being pickpocketed by someone. Someone knocks into me, I quickly have to check everything. I've been hit by pickpockets at least 10 times and successfully being pickpocketed about 3 times or so. So actually coming to Johor Bahru, I never need to look back when I walk. I've never been pickpocketed before my whole life in Malaysia. And I would just say that, versus Singapore, yes, there's a difference. Versus where I come from, there's a huge difference. I also thought about this when I'm 70 years old. Maybe I don't want to be so gung-ho. I can hire a bodyguard. Now, someone said, wow, bodyguard, right? Let's talk about the cost of bodyguard, right? A bodyguard in Malaysia from the research comes out to be between 2,000 to 6,000 a month. I probably pick the higher end and ask him to double up as my driver as well, because if I in my 70s, maybe I drive less. So actually, not bad. I can get a car, get the bodyguard, will double up my driver. Security is ensured. So if I understand correctly, and someone may please correct me if I'm wrong, with a Malaysian driver, I can actually ask him to drive me into Singapore and back to Malaysia and ask me to drive anywhere, as long as I pay the cross-border tolls and things like that. So isn't that the best of both worlds? On the note on security, if it's so dangerous and it's so bad, why are so many Singaporeans going to Malaysia? In a typical weekends, millions of Singaporeans go to JB and beyond for holiday. If it's really so bad, most of them will not be going. One important thing that I take note of is actually in Singapore, our kampong spirit is totally lost. When I was young, living in HDB flats, we actually know the neighbors, not just on the left and right on the same floor. We even know the neighbors on the higher floors and lower floors by name, know where they come from, their families or whatsoever. But nowadays, in the modern Singapore environment, the neighbors are a lot more exclusive to themselves and myself as well. So I'm a culprit myself because I just follow the trend. But in Malaysia is world of difference. When I walk around the compound in Austin, I see my neighbors opening doors saying hi to me, even though they don't know me. They welcome me into their house. They show me their gardens. They introduce themselves and things like that, even though I'm a total stranger to them. So it's a very nice, warm kampong spirit that I see that is still very rich in Malaysia. That makes me feel very comfortable. In retirement, what we want is really social networks and proximity to social comforts. And I think that in Malaysia, JB, this is rich And in Singapore, unfortunately, this is very diluted. It is an important point that we need to ensure that in our retirement life, we have got strong social support. Now, for me, I'm quite lucky. I actually parachuted myself to buy a house where most of my family relatives are staying in Johor Bahru. Some of you all may not have this kind of proximity, but I think that I'll stretch it further. I'll do 2 extra things to enhance my retirement. Number one is that for my children who are going to be digital nomads, I will welcome them to stay with me in my house, which is very considerably big in size and have a lot of space. And I'll also get myself intertwined with the local community. For example, religious groups like my church organization, I will just participate in some of the activities, go to church there, and I hope that they will welcome me. For some of you all who are not Christians, consider participating in the temples, consider the mosques and things like that. I think those organizations will welcome you very deeply. And I will do the reverse, right? In weekends, I'll go back to Singapore to see the rest of my family or friends. And on the other way, come Monday, I'll go back to JB. So most of the people will travel the other direction compared to me. I've actually done a video on MM2H. So this is the new MM2H, which is the Malaysia My Second Home Visa. And there are actually 3 plans, silver, gold, platinum, and the details are there. I think I'll just apply for the silver or the gold one. And it's actually giving me every 5 years or 15 years options. And I think that's good enough. Recently, they have removed the income obligation. So I think that's good enough for me as well. So I think this is a valid, easy visa to get. A lot of you will be thinking of, but the traffic jam is terrible. Yes, it is right now. But even right now, I've actually given you options before. For me, I just travel after midnight at 1 a.m. From my house in Jurong East all the way to my Austin Heights house, it actually takes only 35 minutes door to door if there's no traffic jam, which is the case after 1 to 2 a.m. at night. For me, it's easy because I get jet lag whenever I go back to Singapore. But for most people, they say, yeah, it's so tiring. Well, look at this, right? This is a daytime screen capture of a good Apple map. It actually says 45 minutes from my Jurong East house all the way to Austin Heights. So it's not so bad. Now, when the RTS link, which is the rapid transit system between Singapore and JB, is constructed, it will be ready by December 2026. Most likely, they'll be offloading a lot of traffic from the vehicle lanes to the RTS link. And as a result, the traffic should be smoother on both sides as well. So I now have an option to travel by car or by train in. If I travel by train in, it's very easy. I take a train in, hop onto a Grab and go straight Austin, drive a Malaysian car out, I'm done, right? So that's a way to think about it. To my Malaysian viewers who are watching this video, this is not a bird talk video. This is not one I'm calling Malaysia cheap, cheap, cheap and making irritating comments. This is not. You should think of us as economic refugees trying to escape inflationary fire by coming to JB. We hope that you will include us in your society when we retire, as more and more fellow Singaporeans come to JB and include us as one of your committee. We also welcome you to come to Singapore for holidays. Don't stay in Singapore because it's too damn expensive. For short holidays, it's okay. But, allow us to participate in your community as we retire in Malaysia. This is my retirement plan. I'm happy to take any comments and constructive ideas to further improve on it. Let's also discuss this in our Telegram channel in Lu1865. I look forward to all this exciting discussion with you over there in the Telegram channel as well. So with this, I'll see you in a day or two. Thank you and goodbye.